Nightcap of the biggest night in the Canadian Football League. To date, both teams approaching this like a playoff game, winning in for BC. Eskimos calling it a must-win as they invade the Lions Den at BC Place, and it's Military Appreciation Night, and we've already got a terrific taste of that theme here tonight. The search and rescue technicians from Comox here, making an impressive entrance just prior to the coin flip at center field.
Well, both these quarterbacks in this game are good friends and outstanding gladiators in the game of football. Both have won the league's most outstanding player award. Both are Grey Cup champions, and both were MVPs in the Grey Cup games they played in. It's Mike Riley versus his good friend Travis Lulay tonight.
Wally-Wado's Lions have won 5 of 6. They snapped a 5-game McMahon Stadium losing streak last week, and they do claim a playoff spot if victorious tonight, where they are 6-1 on home turf. On the other sideline, Jason Moss saw his Eskimos snap a 3-game losing streak last week in what he called one of his team's best 3-phase performances of the year. Eskimos are going to get the ball first. This is the rubber match of a 3-game series. Eskimos won 41-22 at Commonwealth. It was a comeback win for the Lions, 31-23 here. And the season series on the line as Ty Long kicks it off, and we're underway. It'll be Sam Shakir with the return, and he'll bring it out just beyond the 30-yard line before he is taken down by Mitchell Barnett. And here comes Mike Riley. He is 26 yards short of his third 5,000-yard season.
9-5 against his old team, the BC Lions. And in a game that, as he mentioned to his teammates this week, they have to have. The first playoff game of the season for the Edmonton Eskimos, according to Mike Riley, is this one tonight.
Player of the week, a motivational kind of win last week as he came out of sick bay to rally his team to victory. And they start at their own 31-yard line, and the handoff to C.J. Gable in search of his first 1,000-yard season. Starts 60 yards short of that mark as we set the Eskimos offense for you.
Big game for Brian Mitchell in the receiving corps. Targeted 17 times last week against Ottawa. Caught 13 of them for 190 yards and a touchdown. Takes some pressure off Duke Williams as well. And the second start for Tommy Draheim at left tackle. That moves Matt O'Donnell back to his more comfortable guard position.
2nd and 3, and they were waiting on C.J. Gable. Otha Foster crashed the edge and comes up with a big play to force a 2-and-out on the opening possession.
Now Otha Foster's coming from the left of your screen, and he just reads this play and doesn't drop. He gets Odell Willis to come down and eat up that extra block on the inside, and then he's just right off the edge before Gable could get started.
He almost took the handoff. That Lion defense has been stout of late. Chris Rainey has struggled on the return, still looking for more from Rainey, which is funny to say considering he's the league leader in all-purpose yardage. High snap. O'Neal did a good job to get that away. And here is Rainey, 35-yard punt. He went straight ahead there for 11 on the return, and that sets up Travis Lulay in good field position for his opening series of the night, 10th game start, and he is 8-5 in his career against the Edmonton Eskimos.
Yeah, winning record this year at 5-4 when he has been healthy in the starting quarterback. And as I mentioned, 2 quarterbacks that are as tough as they come, going head-to-head. They're great friends, both champions.
Lions started their 52, and it's Tyrell Sutton, the ball carrier. He had a 10-yard gain on his first play last week against Calgary. First play as a Lion as we set the BC offense for you.
Yeah, over 100 yards on 22 carries for Sutton in his first game as a BC Lion. I'm wondering when DeVere Posey's going to have his breakout game as a Lion. And up front, Andrew Pearson, the new center for the BC Lions in his third start, really anchored that group. They've become a lot better with the youngster from Kingston.
had to face Micah Johnson last week. He gets Armando Sewell today. Welcome to the CFL, Andrew Pearson. Flag comes down. Lulay's going to air this out. Wants Burnham. Got it. Right, Burnham. Touchdown, but there is a flag. And let's see if this is coming back.
Flags along the line of scrimmage, and it looks like it is coming back. It's procedure.
BC number 88. 5-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
Shaq Johnson, procedure, wipes out a 55-yard touchdown.
Boy, Brian Burnham did such a nice job of getting inside body position on that deep ball. He's out on the wide side of the field. There's Shaq Johnson out. He's the guy that's offside right here, the wide side or the wide side of the field for Travis Lulay. Let's take a look. About a yard off the line of scrimmage at the snap of the ball.
So instead of a lead, it's 2nd and 12. Lulay goes to the far side of the field, and Shaq Johnson, does he make the catch? No, incomplete. In front of the Lions bench. Johnson thinks he made the play. Let's have another look.
Yeah, Chris, after the penalty, he really works at it, doesn't he? I mean, he gets there, gets underneath it, but it looks like he used the turf to help him make the catch. So this will be a better angle to show you that the ball hits the turf, bounces up into his chest. Yeah, no catch.
Nice effort, but incomplete. And Martese Jackson dropped back. So the Lions don't take advantage of excellent field position. Ty Long tries to sell contact. Jackson from the 8 after a 52-yard punt. Reversing field and coming back the other way with a block in. Down the sidelines, and he stepped out when there might have been some extra yardage available. That was dynamic to bring it back 6 yards to the 14. Mike Riley going to work, and again, in quest of a 3rd consecutive 5,000-yard passing season. The CFL on TSN is brought to you by the Nissan Titan, official vehicle of the Canadian Football League. Welcome back to beautiful BC. Eskimos with the football. Broke a touchdown drought of 152 minutes and 21 seconds last week, and beat the Ottawa Red Blacks to get back to 500. Finally going through the reads, and now he'll step up and take off up to the 20. 6-yard pickup against this BC defense.
9 sacks on the season for Odell Willis off one edge. Sean Lemon off the other, combined for 19 sacks. You go back in the one change is Michael Alway is out of the lineup at the middle linebacker spot, so Jordan Herdman takes over for him. He's had 6 starts in there, and then in the secondary, TJ Lee leads the team in defensive plays and is on his way to the All-Star team.
Riley was 6. He had a season-high 72 yards rushing against Ottawa. 2nd and 4 is going to throw this. Looking for Stafford, and it's incomplete. Out of bounds at the Eskimo bench. Back-to-back 2-and-outs for the Eskimos on offense.
Molacumbo timed up a blitz pretty nice here and put enough pressure on Riley that he's going to try and throw it before he's comfortable and before he wants to, and that's why the accuracy on the throw isn't quite there. He's picked up late, but Riley could feel him right beside there in the pocket, and the accuracy not there on the throw because of that blitz.
Eskimos' 2nd fewest 2-and-outs this year, but back-to-back to start. Should be good field position again for BC. A 46-yard punt. Here's Rainey. Does he get the edge? With a cutback, and is dropped at the 45 as the punt cover team for the Eskimos does a nice job containing the speedster Rainey. Travis Lulay, 28-10 in his career at home, trying to get his team back to the playoffs. Well, Chris Rainey's lost some confidence on returns, and here he lost the football. And wasn't immediately apparent, but the Eskimos get on that loose football, and it's Edmonton ball at the BC 45.
Yeah, Edmonton gets the first sudden change opportunity in BC territory after that fumble. Looked like he was down in the knee touch, but upon review in the commercial, it was a fumble and Edmonton ball.
Field flip for the Eskimos, looking for their initial first down on a roll. Riley throws, and the pass incomplete, intended for Stafford with Winston Rose on the corner.
Since Jason Moss has been the head coach in Edmonton, they've had the #1 receiver in the Canadian Football League, and this year they do again in Duke Williams. And if Kenny Stafford can get up to that level like Bryant Mitchell played last week, take some pressure off Duke Williams.
He's been quiet of late. He's 2 catches in the last 3 games for Stafford. Riley looking for his first completion. 2nd and 10. And that pass is caught. And there is Bryant Mitchell coming off that monster game last week. And it's going to be short of the first down. Or are they going to... Well, they're marking it down at the 39.
Well, let's take a look, see if he caught it. Did that touch the ground, or is it? No, don't look like that's an incomplete pass.
Well, they have spotted it as if it was complete. It would be 3rd and 4. They've given him 6 yards, and they're going to let Sean White set it up from 47 yards out. Not sure why the video or the spotter upstairs did not catch that.
Yeah, that's what Wally Buono wanted. He doesn't want to waste his only challenge.
So Sean White from White Rock, BC, hit his 300th last week, and he puts Edmonton into the lead. So there's 3 points off the Rainey fumble, and the Eskimos lead 3-0. Like good reviews on opening night than it was for Tyrell Sutton. First game as a BC Lion, and he runs for 106, a couple of touchdowns, and the coach said he gave us exactly what we wanted.
Well, and this is why Ed Hervey made the deal to get him here with the Montreal Alouettes, because even though he's really the same body type as Jeremiah Johnson, he has different style. I mean, Jeremiah Johnson is actually an inch taller and 5 pounds lighter than Sutton, so they're almost identical in height and weight. But Sutton searches out contact.
Oh, here's Rainey looking to atone. Flag flies as Rainey bunts it into Edmonton territory, dragged down at the 48 of Edmonton. But that's the second big play in the opening 6.5 minutes for the Lions that's going to be negated by penalty.
Yeah, I was going to say that, and then you take that Brian Burnham touchdown throw. That
During the return, holding, BC, 10-yard penalty, first down.
That took points off the board. This was a return to midfield that's going to come back.
Just 4 penalties, 61 yards last week. Wally Buono talked about 3 keys in the game: affect the quarterback, win the turnover battle, and win field position. And so far, the turnover that went against them affected the field position, and that penalty affects field position as they're driven all the way back to their own 15. So that's over 50 yards of real estate.
And 6 points for sure.
Yeah.
Because the Burnham touchdown was taken off the board.
Well, if you add that in, they're already over 100 net yards of
Yeah.
penalties costing them. Play action fake to Sutton, and that pass incomplete, intended for Posey, tracked by Aaron Grimes.
Well, you mentioned the matchup between Andrew Pearson and Amando Sewell. We'll watch that, but off the edge, Alex Bazzi has been hot of late. 3 sacks in the last 2 games for the former BC Lion. J.C. Sherritt in the middle leads their team in defensive plays and tackles, as he does whenever he's healthy. And they had to make a change and bump Forrest Hightower out to corner. Nick Taylor is injured, so Money Hunter plays halfback. Forrest Hightower out at corner.
1 touchdown allowed by that defense in the last 10 quarters. 2nd and 10. Pressure on, and they get to the quarterback. It's the former BC Lion, Alex Bazzi, who now has 4 sacks in his last 3 games and 8 on the year.
Well, let's take a look at Alex Bazzi. He's in that 2-point stance. He's lined up with J.C. Sherritt. So basically, which one do you block? Bazzi goes on the stunt. It looks like it got kind of tangled up in there. Wasn't a clean twist by any stretch of the imagination, but the coverage behind him gave him an extra second and he got home.
9 sacks against BC so far this year. Ty Long's going to give up 2, and it's 5-0 Edmonton. So the Eskimos get a field goal off a turnover, and they get a safety off a costly penalty and a sack by Alex Bazzi. Well, he was flattened by the flu 24 to 48 hours prior to last week's game, but there are the numbers, and he's had better numbers, but Jason Moss thought that that's as well as he's seen Mike Riley play in the last couple of years, particularly considering the circumstances.
Yeah, he was flat on his back just before game time, and it hit him hard. But came out and put up big numbers in that one, and he eliminated the mistake, the interception. The previous 2 games, the 2 losses, Winnipeg and Saskatchewan, prior to that Ottawa game, he had thrown 5 interceptions, uncharacteristic for the reigning MOP. Got rid of that in the Ottawa game.
Snap the Eskimos' 3-game losing streak. Trying to improve the road record that has seen them win just 2 of their first 8 away from home. So the Lions give up 2, and Ty Long boots it away. And as Martese Jackson backpedaled to his 11. And on the return, the former Argo able to work his way through a crease out to about 38 with a flag.
You got offside BC on the kickoff, and these penalties keep mounting.
Offside, BC number 98. 5-yard penalty, and we'll re-kick.
Ivan McLennan, and 8 minutes in, Wally Buono's got to be concerned with the penalty parade.
Well, this team has been outstanding at home. You mentioned this year, and you mentioned Travis Ule's record at home. But whether you're home or away, if you start adding up penalties that are getting close to, well, over 50 yards in the first half, in the first quarter, for that matter, tough to win.
And an opportunity for a return after you've already had the cover team sprint downfield once.
They got to catch their breath now. They're trying to regroup here.
See how Ty Long handles this kickoff. Bombs away, or does he squib it a little bit? Jackson on the other side this time. Up over the 40, 45, and dragged down there. Good defensive coverage by Wayne Moore, who's been red hot of late. Well, here's Brian Mitchell, who had the big game, but was more impressed with the quarterback coming off the mat in the flu game.
It was amazing, you know, like we talk about Jordan and his flu game. It was Mike's flu game. I guess there's a thing with Mike's and flu games. So he came through, and it was exciting because he texted us that night. He said, hey, I hope you guys are ready. And that's all the confidence I needed.
Gotta be just like Mike.
Yeah, I want to be, I'm just going to say it. I want to be like Mike, like this one out here.
He's going to work here, going deep downfield for Duke Williams on the money. First big play for the Edmonton Eskimos goes to the CFL's leading receiver, Duke Williams.
Well, he leads in targets. He leads in that deep ball. Duke Williams leads in yards in this Canadian Football League, and he does it again. I don't think he used his left hand to make the catch here on TJ Lee, who's in excellent coverage position. He made a one-hander with just the right hand on the outside. TJ Lee had the left hand tied up. And he still came down with it.
47-yard play. Mike Riley over 5,000 yards passing, and the Eskimos in business in the red zone. Big to Gable, and they tried to swing it out to Vancouver product Calvin McCarty, but it's incomplete.
Well, you mentioned Riley closing in on another 5,000-yard season. And he's there now. So it's an elite company with Doug Flutie, Anthony Calvillo. He's one more to tie both those guys.
Best red zone production in the CFL this year. Looking at 2nd and 10. Pressure coming. Riley steps up. Mike Riley takes off. First down and dropped around the 2-yard line. Has done it a little bit more of late as the games get more important.
I think Mike Riley knew that this run was a possibility just as he's receiving the ball. Watch Jordan Herdman here, the linebacker, exit and go and face up a receiver and turn his back to Mike Riley. That means he's reacting late to try and come up and make the tackle, and he can't get it done. Riley saw him bail, and he knew he had that opportunity.
13-yard run and rushed for 170 in the previous 3 games. And he's usually automatic in here. No signal as he gets driven back. Didn't get in. See, big Joel Figueroa lost his helmet. The usual left tackle for the Lions, beefing up that goal line stand.
Davon Coleman right there, the big push, and Herdman jumped in the pile as well.
Looked like Coleman might have saved the touchdown. So it's 2nd and goal. Riley again, this time he should be in, but there is a flag. That's usually against the defense. Let's wait and find out.
Offside. BC defensive line. The penalty be declined. Touchdown.
So Mike Riley's got his 13th touchdown of the season.
Well, as soon as one lines up, a couple of others will line up with them, but it really should never happen when there's that clear of a line in front of you. You know exactly where the hand has got to go, but offside there would have given Mike Riley another set of downs even if he didn't get it. Or down over, I should say.
So everything's gone right for the visitors. The green and gold open up a 2-score lead here. And with this point, Sean White passes Sandro DeAngelis on the all-time scoring list, moving up a notch into 19th spot. More importantly, the Eskimos have built an early lead.
Well, Mike Riley knows the importance of this game. You mentioned off the top, the BC Lions win this game and they're in. They lock up a playoff spot. Edmonton doesn't win this game and they have to rely on another team. They only have 2 games left. This is one of them. BC has 3. And Mike Riley said to his teammates this week, if you want to make the playoffs, put your hand up. They all did, obviously. He said, okay, well, this is playoff game number 1. We've got to make it happen on the road where they've not been very good against the team that at home has been outstanding in the BC Lions. And plays like this show you how much he knows he has to have that sense of urgency.
4 plays, 61 yards, the 47-yarder to Duke Williams, a 13-yard run to set up that plunge for the touchdown that puts the Eskimos up 12-0. Last time in here, they built an early lead, and it was the Lions having to stage a dramatic 4th quarter comeback. Chris Rainey again. Nice cut inside. Rainey across the 50. He might have it. Chris Rainey gonna say goodbye. Touchdown, BC. And they get back in it on a 95-yard touchdown run.
No flags. When Chris Rainey is on, and he makes up for the early fumble with an unbelievable display of sheer speed, because when he gets the edge, and right now he puts it into another gear, and there's not an Edmonton Eskimo on the field that can catch him. One of the fastest guys in the league, and he shows it. 95-yarder for Chris Rainey, and boy, did the Lions need that.
And a 79-yard punt return touchdown against Edmonton earlier this year. A kick return touchdown here. And number 1 in return yardage this season, but the Lions kept feeling like there was more, and with a guy like that, you expect a little bit more, and that's why.
Well, in the last home game, he had a return taken off the board, a touchdown return that was called back due to penalty. So the Rainey family happy to see him bounce back from that early fumble. What a run. And his speed in the open field, he just outran the angles of every Edmonton Eskimo. What a move at the point of attack on the containment.
Confidence shouldn't be an issue after that.
Hey, thank you for not following me, 'cause I was like, hit over here.
Well, a fumble on one return, a great return called back by penalty. Third time a charm for Chris Rainey. Ty Long, good on the convert, 24-25 this year for him. And it's 12-7 Eskimos.
The Edmonton Eskimos on their cover teams didn't look like they were too far out of their lanes, but watch this first move by Rainey. He comes to the outside and then he cuts inside of Hoover right there. That's the contained man that he makes go so far wide that he opens up an alley. He's got to turn Rainey back into the rest of those cover men for the Edmonton Eskimos. If he can't get that done, then Rainey has some space outside. 95 yards later, he's got that afterburner.
His biggest fans love that.
Okay, let's go back to work, gentlemen.
I think we're in for quite a night. That was an outstanding Eastern showdown earlier to open the Friday night action. Ottawa with a win against Hamilton.
Martese Jackson is due as well. This time.
It's another guy with speed, Jaguar, contained inside the 35-yard line. Well, we mentioned he's already had one kick return touchdown against Edmonton this season. This one was a punt return back in August.
Yeah, he just breaks your spat on those first moves. Takes about 3 or 4 steps one way or the other and then cuts back on you. Almost impossible to try and stay in your lane against him.
Well, that just shut down all the momentum that was in Edmonton's favor. Let's see if Mike Riley can grab it right back. Pitch here to Bahar. And Nate Bahar lost the ball. And the Lions, I think, get back on it. Well, the young receiver, Nate Bahar, put it on the carpet, and Anthony Thompson comes up with it.
And I don't think he got hit. And what a switch in momentum. Just like that, it carries over. The big return from Chris Rainey carries over to the next play. TJ Lee's coming on the halfback blitz. But the throw is fine. He just drops it on his own, trying to cut to the outside. Is it Otha Foster that ends up with it? Or is it Anthony Thompson who finally gets her? Foster has a chance.
To keep it going.
Yeah, he kept it alive, and it was Anthony Thompson.
That sets up Travis Lulay and the Lions at the Edmonton 25. The turnover's even now. Handoff inside. Tyrell Sutton runs through the first would-be tackle for a couple of extra yards, so give him 7.
7 is good yardage on that play because there was an issue right at the junction where they were trying to cross there with Chris Rainey playing a play on offense. Sutton picked up 7 on his own.
So lots of options on 2nd and 3. BC into the red zone. Middle of the pack in that department. 5th in touchdown production inside the 20. And handed off. Sutton straight ahead. And a first down with an exclamation point. A downhill run for Sutton.
Hunter Stewart pulls from the left guard position and gets the kick out block. And then when he does that, watch big number 67. This is how you pull. Get that right arm and elbow down. You get that pull to the outside. Nice block on the contained man, Boateng, and then that gives your tailback a nice running lane for a 10-yard gain.
And it took 13 minutes, but the initial first down for the Lions here. And knocking at the door. Feed Sutton again, straight ahead, gets stacked up, but doesn't want to go down. Lions talking about him bringing a little more attitude to the offense of the Lions, and he's a problem for Mike Benavides and the Eskimo defense.
Well, he searches out contact. Mike Benavides understands it, so does J.C. Sherritt, middle linebacker, and that front 7, that they're going to have to bow their neck and get their pad level down because Sutton searches out contact. Which pays dividends in the 4th quarter.
2nd and goal. LaBelle in the backfield. They fake it. Burnham, touchdown. Ryan Burnham got a step on Mercy Maston, and BC takes the lead. They got their initial first down after the fumble recovery, and the first completion for Travis Lulay is a BC Lion touchdown.
Get down there, you pound Tyrell Sutton 3 plays in a row, then go play action, freeze the D lineman, give yourself a chance at Travis Lulay to throw it off the play action, and Brian Burnham does his job. Gets open in behind Mercy Maston.
8th touchdown of the year for Brian Burnham. And BC erases that deficit in a hurry. Long's convert is good. And it's 14-12 all of a sudden for the home side.
That's how quick it can happen in the Canadian Football League. A couple penalties got BC in trouble early.
Not yet. Let's keep it going.
A couple of big plays brought it right back.
The Bahar fumble, a first down run by Sutton, and a touchdown pass to Burnham. And BC's on top. Oh, we know Karen's staying with us tonight. Here are the numbers, and how about that? BC has the lead with 13 net yards in the opening quarter.
Well, the tale of 2 halves in 1 quarter, because in the first half of that quarter, the BC Lions struggled, and it showed you 4 penalties for just 20 yards, but it took about 100 yards of big plays off the board and 6 points. And then that momentum swang in the favor of the BC Lions with the big return from Chris Rainey.
It almost sends a little frustration creeping into the building, and then in 4 minutes and 1 second, the Lions get the Rainey kickoff return touchdown, and then after the fumble, score again and have the lead. Might be another one of those wild nights.
Yeah, well, it's a logjam in the West Division. Any team on any given night can beat any other team. This one's going down to the wire, you gotta believe it.
Before the night's over, we'll get you to do all the permutations in the West.
No thanks.
Sammy Jaguar gets bounced out, and Mike Riley goes back to work.
Yes, and the excellent game notes by Steve Daniels. Every every week from the CFL head office. There were 64 different possibilities with all the tiebreakers and everything going into this week in the West Division. But what we can tell you is that all 5 teams could still host the semifinal game. Saskatchewan could still finish first. It's a long shot, but they could still finish first, play Calgary tomorrow night. And one of Winnipeg, BC, or Edmonton will miss the playoffs.
And there could even be a 4-way tie for second. 4 teams can finish 10 and 8. They go right back to Bahar, immediately taken down by Winston Rose, who's had a terrific year on the corner, including a pair of interceptions against the Edmonton Eskimos.
Get Bahar to get that bad memory out of his mind, and just like Chris Rainey, I mean, this wasn't the big play, but get it back to him after the fumble that cost him, or cost his team a major. Right back to him, get that confidence back. May need him.
Eskimos 2 for 5 on second down conversions so far. Pressure on, pocket collapsing for Duke Williams. Can't make the play. And there is Winston Rose defensively on back-to-back plays.
Almost looked like Riley stumbled as he was trying to deliver this one. The ball came out of his hands awkwardly. Started to sort of tailspin towards Duke Williams and a little bit behind him. Let's take a look as he's going to manage the pocket by stepping up in it. Good push on the outside from Odell Willis, and oh, you can see he got hit as he was throwing it. That's why it was awkward. Well, does he have another one in?
So O'Neill lining that away from Rainey. It'll bounce out of bounds without a return. That's where the Lions will take over. We'll head to the sidelines. We mentioned Military Appreciation Night in BC, and Farhan Lalji with a special guest.
Yeah, Chris, I'm with Sergeant Scott Hoadley of the Canadian Armed Forces Search and Rescue Division. I saw this guy rappel from the roof of BC Place. You might have the coolest job going. So how do you go become a SARTEC for the Canadian Armed Forces?
Well, if you're already serving in the military, you can put your application in, and you'll be selected to go to Jarvis Lake, which is our selection grounds, and it'll be a 2-week process where you'll be put through physical and mentally challenging tasks, sleep deprivations, and we'll try and teach you and assess your ability to learn. And if you're successful there, then you'll be course loaded onto a year-long course where we do parachuting, diving, medical, become paramedics, climbing, glacial travel, a huge gambit of skill sets.
So what are the types of things you would wind up responding to in the field as an ops assignment?
Well, our primary responsibility is for airplane crashes and marine disasters, but outside of that, we'll help with other agencies, Ground Star and RCMP, if it's beyond their limit and it's too far out for them to go. So we go all over Canada to help them out.
Thanks for this, and thanks for everything you do for us.
Thank you very much. Go BC Alliance.
All right, Alliance fan. Hey, and these SARTECs, outstanding. And when you talk about the wildfires here in BC, they won't tell you the stories unless you get them in the corner and ask, and I've done that. Take them out for a beverage and ask them about some of the stories. These guys are dropping into the fires and rescuing people when the wildfires were in BC, Fort McMurray fires, and pulling people out that, you know, would have been losing their lives in those situations. I mean, these guys are the best of the best.
And you got to make the team, as he mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta train and be prepared. And
third 2 and out for the Lions offense. 26 points on the board, yet the defenses have been pretty stout so far. Bounces over Martese Jackson, who charged after it, but had that one hop over top of him. Gets some of the yardage back after a 53-yard punt by the leading punter in the league as they rappel from the rooftop here at BC Place on Military Appreciation Night. Another Shaw Road to the Grey Cup doubleheader tomorrow. First up, Alouettes Argos. Action starts at 4 Eastern on TSN 4 and 5. And then the big game with implications in the Western playoffs, the Rough Riders and Stampeders from McMahon across the TSN network. Here's Riley under duress gets it to Bahar, who makes the catch.
On first down, Mike Riley connects with 8.
Make your getaway with intelligent all-wheel drive in the 2018 Nissan Qashqai.
So Mike Riley goes back to Nate Bahar again. Jason Moss was talking about how smart a player Bahar is. He can play any of the positions, receiving positions on the Eskimo offense. A young guy who made a mistake and is going to try and bounce back after his best game of the year, 3 catches, 51 against Ottawa last week. Edmonton first down at the 39-yard line. As that big offensive line that had such a terrific game against the Red Blacks digs in. And off to the speedy Martese Jackson. Gets the edge. And a cut back and first down yardage up around the 50-yard line. 12-yard pickup. He had a 13-yard touchdown run at Commonwealth last Saturday.
Yeah, and the Edmonton Eskimos, Chris, bring in Calvin McCarty to help as a fullback at the point of attack. He steps up on Jordan Herdman, so he gets the middle linebacker that's supposed to scrape to the run there. And with Odell Willis up the field, blocked by an old lineman, Martese Jackson off and running.
Now Gable checks back in. Fake to Gable. Riley's first read was not open, and that pass, he tipped it up and recovered. Kenny Stafford with a tremendous first down catch at the line 45.
You know, as a DB, when you're amongst the league leaders in interceptions, you get confident and you go and try and play the ball whenever you get a chance to. Rather than knock it down, you try to play the ball. It looked like he stepped around there, got a piece of it, popped it up. Anthony Orange has 5 picks on the year. 14-yard gain, it ends up for the Edmonton Eskimos.
Great catch by Stafford, first and 10. In BC territory. 4 receivers near side. And Riley upended by Sean Lemon.
What a great play by Sean Lemon. A redirect because Lemon has to make a quick decision. And he's got to step up the field and take the running back in Martese Jackson and then redirect as soon as it's pulled. See, he takes Jackson and then still has the quickness to get down and get Mike Riley.
I was going to say, it looked like they wanted to go fly sweep. Lemon discouraged that and then
Played
makes the
them both.
play on Riley.
Yep, played them both.
You get 2 defensive plays for that, don't you? 2nd and 9. Riley with time. Sideline pass. That's caught by Bryant Mitchell. Steps out with another Eskimo first down.
Got some outstanding defensive ends in this game. Let's take a look at the route running from Bryant Mitchell on Anthony Orange. Got Orange to turn. And the reason you do that coming off the ball, if you're a young receiver watching, you want to get that defensive back to get out of his chair, that back pedal chair. Make sure he turns like you're going deep and then break it off.
Targeted 17 times last week. 45% of Mike Riley's throws were headed for Bryant Mitchell. This one's in the hands of Duke Williams, who gets tapped out by Bo Lacombo.
Good drive by the Edmonton Eskimos. They got a little bit of help on that tip ball. Kenny Stafford kept concentration on that one. On this last play, Bryant, look at that block. Pick coming underneath. Now, if the ball's thrown behind the line of scrimmage, that's legal.
TJ Lee took a knee, got up, and now back down to give some time for the Lions to make defensive adjustments. And while they continue to attend to TJ Lee, will step aside. Eskimos on a bye after this. Their final home game November 3rd against Winnipeg. So TJ Lee on the sidelines. Isaiah Guzlak-Messam has checked in on defense for the Lions. 1st and 10, a pump from Riley. Duke Williams wide open, but incomplete, almost intercepted. What a recovery there, a quick close along the sidelines. Anthony Thompson, the safety.
Well, they dropped a couple deep. Anthony Thompson was one of them. He's right in the middle of your screen here. He's going to react and get to the outside. He's right on that hash mark. You see him drop out and then just read the throwing motion of Mike Riley and break on that ball, playing that middle free safety spot. Flies over there. Had an interception last week. Almost back-to-back weeks. Play.
9th play of the drive. Riley to throw again. Might take off here. No, got an open target. Touchdown. Bryant Mitchell again. A touchdown for the Eskimos as they take the lead on a 23-yard touchdown strike.
Well, you're right, Chris. There was a couple of choices there for Mike Riley. He got outside and contained. When you're going to put pressure on Riley, whether with 4 or you're bringing extra pressure, you got to keep contained and collapse the pocket. Don't just get up the field or get stuck at the line of scrimmage. He had choices there to either run or 1st down, but he found an open Bryant Mitchell and hit him.
One of the players of the week last week after the 13-catch, 190-yard game. 2nd best receiving game of the league this year, and now touchdowns in back-to-back. And the convert good from Sean White. And with the touchdown pass by Mike Riley, he ties Tracy Ham on the all-time Eskimo touchdown list.
Mitchell gets the assist from Bahar here. Watch how the routes confuse the safety. Bahar's going to come on a crossing route, and watch Mitchell on the deeper one. I'll show you what happens to the safety Anthony Thompson here, because as Mitchell goes deep, now Bahar cuts underneath, and he's the underneath layer. So he pulls the safety up, he pulls coverage up, and that leaves Mitchell in behind coverage. Both guys, including safety Anthony Thompson, 23 right there. You can see he tried to bail and get back to his responsibility, but it was too late. That's why there's always layers. If there's an over, there's an under, and there's usually one over the top.
Well, heading into even more elite company, Mike Riley tying Tracy Ham, and great Warren Moon in reach, maybe even tonight, the way this Eskimo offense is moving.
Tracy Ham's son with the Toronto Argonauts.
Tyrell Sutton with the return brings it back around the 33-yard line. Let's go back to the sidelines. Here's Farhan.
Guys, you mentioned the relationship between Mike Riley and Travis Lulay. They haven't played against each other very often. In fact, both of them told me before this game, this might be the biggest game where they have faced each other. For Lulay himself, he is viewing this as a playoff game, and he hasn't started a playoff game since 2013 in Regina. Back in that game, he played very well against the Riders. Lions were leading going into the 4th quarter before Darian Durant took that game over with his legs. He eventually propelled the Riders to the Grey Cup. Since then, Lulay's had a couple of mop-up appearances in Calgary in 2015 and 2016, so he is not taking these opportunities for granted. He didn't know if he'd get a chance to play in a game like this. Plans to savor all of it over the next 3 quarters here.
Right now, Travis Lulay and the Lions are riding the running legs of Tyrell Sutton. A 31-yard burst for Sutton to run downhill into Edmonton territory.
Yeah, look at the hole that Sutton gets here, and watch at the end of the run when I talk about searching out contact. Watch Sutton do that at the end of this run. He gets a good block up front from Figueroa on J.C. Sherritt, and then he finds a guy to go run into. As they close in, it ended up being Chris Edwards.
It's on a play that set up the touchdown. It was Aaron Grimes. You could see him hit right against him, and now the speedster in the backfield. A 1-2 punch that is, and it's Chris Rainey. Back-to-back big runs for the BC Lions. This one, 22 yards for Rainey.
Well, if he makes one more big play, I think it's safe to say Chris Rainey's back. And he's got his confidence. Look at him get nice and low so that that hit from Aaron Grimes doesn't cut his legs out from underneath him. He takes it on the shoulder pad so he can keep his balance. Another big gain by Rainey.
6 carries for the Lions running back, 77 yards now. Give Rainey an extra yard, 23 on the carry, so they'll give it to him again. And this time, a stop as Armando Sewell, Jake Ceresna slammed the door on number 2.
Well, if your run game's working, you want to stick with it, that's for sure. Travis Lulay hasn't thrown the ball but 5 times tonight for just 9 yards so far. But he's going to have to here on 2nd and long, unless Jarius Jackson goes with another draw play. Halfway to 100 again for Sutton.
A lot of balance last week. They sent pressure, and a ball for Corey Watson incomplete as Lulay was hurried and punished on the play.
Safety blitz, middle linebacker blitz, and Travis Lulay makes his way to the Lions sideline. They're just loading it up. Mike Benavides is saying we're going to send pressure. It's coming from the safety. It is Neil King that makes contact as he's throwing that ball, and that's why when his receiver Corey Watson bent it in, he couldn't adjust his throw. That hurt him.
Yeah, on the limp as he headed off. I think that hurt in a couple different places. Ty Long from 30 yards out. He's good. And it's a 2-point Edmonton lead, but there'll be some concern on that BC bench for the status of Travis Lulay.
I'm Chief Warrant Officer Christy Chow from 2947 12 Vancouver Service Battalion. To me, Canadian veterans are a symbol of both loss and triumph. They symbolize courage and a strong sense of national pride, and for them, I'm proud to serve as a member.
And we thank all of the military personnel and the veterans for their service on Military Appreciation Night here. Riley in trouble, and he'll get dropped. And there's a sack for the former Eskimo. Odell Willis hits double digits again. That's number 10 on the year, 96 in his career. He's 13th now all time, moving into a tie with Mike Walker.
There he is, and he's just going to collapse in on Colin Kelly and just not lose containment. As I mentioned, it's so important to make sure that Mike Riley can't escape. So he was in that great position where he can't go out and around him, but if he tries to step up and then cut underneath, he can redirect and get to him, and he does that.
Loss of 6, 2nd and 16. Last possession for the Eskimos, 6 first downs en route to a touchdown. A pump from Riley, and this one up for grabs and incomplete. Duke Williams unable to hang on with former Eskimo Gary Peters and Winston Rose there in coverage.
Winston Rose also with 5 interceptions on the season, and who's going to win that derby in the interception department? There's 4 players in the CFL now tied for first at 5 interceptions coming into the week. Rose is one of them. Nice play.
Couple of Rose.
Yep.
At the top, Jonathan Rose of Ottawa, Winston Rose, Brandon Dozier, and Anthony Orr. Yep. Line drive punt by O'Neill, trying to make it difficult for Rainey, who fought that one, ended up batting it out of bounds. So that seems to be the strategy now to try and limit the Chris Rainey damage. 45-yard punt, no return.
What that does, though, is it at times can hurt your punt average in your net. If you're starting to kick away from a returner, and yes, it shows great respect, but you can also take 10 yards off your punt net, and that's important over the long haul.
The good news, Travis Lulay's okay. He's back in. The bad news is that they just not have been able to generate anything through the air. 9 yards. Do have a touchdown pass. And of course, a big play negated by penalty that would have been a 55-yard touchdown play. There's a connection to Burnham. First down throw, working against Forrest Hightower. But a good first half. back and forth. We hit the 3-minute warning. A 2-point Edmonton lead. Big win and a shootout in the nation's capital tonight. Looks like we might have one here as well. Under 3 minutes to go here, first half. BC with a first down at their 47. A field goal away from regaining the lead. Out of the backfield, it's big Rolly Lambala breaking a tackle, and he doesn't want to go down after his second catch of the year. Wally Bono mentioned that at halftime last week, when they squandered a big early lead, it was Lambala in the dressing room that got everybody settled down again. An 11-year veteran who does as much behind the scenes as he does on the field.
Well, great leadership skills. Two great fullbacks in that regard in this game, with Calvin McCarty, great veteran for the Edmonton Eskimos, and Rolly Lambala for the BC Lions.
How about 378 games between the two of them?
Yeah.
Calvin at 192. Rolly in his 186th. Second down, picked off. Adam Konar with a tremendous play. Well, Dad was a terrific linebacker here in BC, and Adam Konar comes up with a huge interception for the Eskimos.
Mike Benavides is dialing up the blitzes, and this time again, J.C. Sherritt and Chris Edwards, they're coming. They're going after Travis Lulay. It's forcing quick throws. Adam Konar on the backside. He's going to just drop and spy Lulay. He knows he's got to throw it immediately because they can't block them all. So he just breaks outside, cuts underneath Burnham.
Konar's first interception of the year.
There's Brian Burnham right here. He's in that. He's a release valve in case of blitz. So he recognizes it, turns out quickly, but Konar cuts underneath.
Turnovers reviewed, so they're just checking that with the command center, and it's thumbs up for Konar. That'd make a tough catch. Eskimo football at the Edmonton 52. Riley going to try and take immediate advantage. Looking for Brian Mitchell. Comes back to the football. And now trying to run away from TJ Lee, who will wrap him down at about the 7. But Brian Mitchell's as hot as any receiver in the Canadian Football League.
Mike Riley, the panel is going to talk about Mike Riley's protection. Calvin McCarty comes in to widen the edge a little bit and give his tackles some help. That gives Riley the time to throw one up, and TJ Lee got a little high on it. He's back in the game after leaving with injury earlier, and it was Mitchell who put the hit on Lee that knocked him out of the game, and then watch him fly on right by.
Riley saw the bat signal, the guy who loved Batman, Brian Mitchell with a 51-yard play. CJ Gable, nothing doing inside. Brian Mitchell now 4 catches, 91, and a touchdown. Pretty good follow-up to last week's huge game.
With the defensive ends in this game, Chris, and that's on both teams, but when you're looking at this BC defense with Sean Lemon and Odell Willis, the Edmonton Eskimos are bringing a lot of fullback in. They're widening the offensive line and making it tougher on those guys to get to Riley, and a little bit easier for Riley to get it to guys like Brian Mitchell.
No sacks last week after 9 in the previous 2 weeks. Riley throwing this into the back corner for Duke Williams, incomplete, with Gary Peters tracking him. So the field goal unit will come on, and Edmonton will try and salvage 3 off the takeaway.
Take a look at the corner route here by Duke Williams. So good at winning the jump ball, but how about Gary Peters up over the top to knock it out of there?
Play by the veteran Peters.
8th knockdown, which puts him up amongst the best in the league, not in the leading spot. TJ Lee owns that one.
John White with plenty of family and friends on hand with a chip shot 14-yarder. And a 5-point lead for the Eskimos here in the final minute of this opening half. Mics are hot every week on CFL Wired.
That cartwheel was fast. No, I was going for it. I lost energy halfway through.
Apparently that cartwheel had been practiced. You wouldn't know it, but you can catch it again on Wednesday, 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific on TSN2. And J.C. Sharon said, I've never laughed on the field before until I saw that after Jake Ceresna tried to celebrate a sack last week.
Jake Ceresna's having an outstanding season. 7th sack for him last week. He's got a little BC Lion block on his helmet,
too. 49 seconds on the clock.
I was going to say, that helmet tells you he's been in the middle of it. He just needs a little work on the cartwheel. Apparently, the mistake was he had practiced without all the equipment on, and that affected the balance.
The balance of the core and the weight distribution.
Yeah, and there's a lot of weight distribution when you're 6'5", 295. So they adjust the clock, and BC goes to work from their 35. Passing game has sputtered in the first half. They get DeVere Posey with his first catch of the night.
I'm wondering when DeVere Posey, a guy who had 175 yards in the Grey Cup game for the Argos, and I believe it was 4 games last year over 100 yards for the Argos. He missed 6 starts because of injury. Hasn't had a breakout game for the Lions just yet.
Just barely over the yardage that he had in that Grey Cup game. And now this, the 6th game he's played for BC. Quick hitter, got a first down catch there. Taken down by Konar.
I wondered if Lule might try to test the change. And right now he's working the short side, which is Mercy Maston, and that's not a change for the Edmonton Eskimos in their secondary. It is on the other side with Forrest Hightower bumping out and playing the wide side corner. Tougher to get a matchup out there than it is on the short side.
Clock running, can they get 20? A flag comes down. Tyrell Sutton trying to spin out of the tackle of Sharon. That doesn't happen. And let's check the flag. Is that a hold against BC?
Holding. BC number 68. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
David Foucault, and all the penalties in this first half have gone against Wally Bono's team. So 7 seconds left. See how they handle it. Straight ahead, Sutton. Tackle on the play by Bazzi, and likely the Lions will take a knee. Down 5, despite the fact BC has not hit triple digits in yardage. 99 yards of offense. The Eskimos at 195. One more carry for Sutton, who has been their most productive weapon, as he has 66 first half rushing yards. So the first half is done, 22-17 for the visitors in this critical Western matchup. Here's Rod Smith on the panel.
Okay. Mike, after a lot of underneath passes last week in the win there, it seems like this is the Eskimo offense we're used to seeing. What's allowed you to take those deep shots tonight?
Yeah, I mean, our guys are doing a nice job of, when they get the one-on-one matchups, getting a little bit of space and making a play on the ball. You know, it's going to take a lot more than that in the second half, though. You know, whether it's shots down the field or just executing and staying on the field, hitting the underneath stuff. We got to move the chains. Thought we did a decent enough job in the first half, but it's got to be better in the second for sure.
You had such a great connection early on with Duke Williams and Darrell Walker. What's allowed you to develop that now with Bryant Mitchell?
I mean, he's just a good playmaker. He's aggressive. He goes up and fights for the ball. You can see it on that last big catch that he had. You just put it out there and give him a chance. He generally makes something good happen. But, we still got a lot of football left to play. We're going to need more big plays out of him and everybody else. When we get down to the red zone, we got to finish with touchdowns, not field goals. This is going to be a battle for all 60 minutes. There's no doubt.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Brent Johnson and Bobby Zink in 27 autographs to the announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, defining moments in Canada's military history set us apart as defenders of peace, freedom, and human dignity. These values are reflected in the service and sacrifice of Canadian veterans, past and present. Throughout the world, these respected men and women, to whom we owe a great debt, distinguish us as Canadians. Tonight's salute is a compelling tribute drawing together generations of British Columbians, paying homage to veterans and current serving members of the Canadian Armed Forces. Ladies and gentlemen, leading the brass and reeds is the Naden Band of the Royal Canadian Navy from the Canadian Armed Forces Base in Esquimalt, augmented by the 15th Field Band of the Royal Canadian Artillery BC Regiment. Also in this section are cadets from across BC, as well as first responder bands from the Lower Mainland. Escorts with the brass and reeds are honor guards from throughout the Lower Mainland. They are marching on to the tune Colonel Bowden.
Travis, 37 yards passing in the first half. That's probably not going to get it done to win this football game. How do you get more out of the passing game?
Well, we just got to find a better rhythm. We kind of had a choppy first quarter, and returns great for the team, but it kept us off the field, and so we were just a little choppy in that first half. Got to be better. Made a mistake on a zone pressure there, and they capitalized on it. So we just got to find a rhythm, let the game come to us, and find a way to stay on the field and give ourselves a chance to score points.
You guys were able to do that in the second half after a tough finish to the first half in Calgary. What do you draw on from that?
I mean, it's a 5-point game. There's a lot of football left, so we just got to settle in and play good football.
Thanks, Travis.
Thanks.
Football, man. Either you built for that or you not.
Biggest Friday night football of the year. It's the Eskimos by 5. It's Farhan Lalji with Travis Lulay.
Travis, 37 yards passing in the first half. That's probably not going to get it done to win this football game. How do you get more out of the passing game?
Well, we just got to find a better rhythm. We kind of had a choppy first quarter, and returns great for the team, but it kept us off the field, and so we were just a little choppy in that first half. Got to be better. Made a mistake on a zone pressure there, and they capitalized on it. So we just got to find a rhythm, let the game come to us, and find a way to stay on the field and give ourselves a chance to score points.
You guys were able to do that in the second half after a tough finish to the first half in Calgary. What do you draw on from that?
I mean, it's a 5-point game. There's a lot of football left, so we just got to settle in and play good football.
Thanks, Travis.
Thanks.
Choppy to the extent of 6 first downs and 114 yards in the first half. Here's Rainey. Dangerous again. And dropped just shy of the 40-yard line. Thought he squeaked through there for a second. Here comes Travis Lulay.
Well, 6 of 11, 37 yards and a touchdown. That interception, the mistake he mentioned to Farhan was the zone pressure. It was Chris Edwards and J.C. Sherritt blitzing him while they played zone behind it, and Adam Konar came up with the interception, but he just couldn't get in the rhythm because they didn't have enough touches in the first half.
Didn't stack more than 2 first downs on a drive. Sutton runs into a wall.
See you, Boateng.
Waiku Boateng, who's having an enormous second year. The kid out of Laurier, 9 sacks on the season.
Wow, he just came down and it was crunch time. I mean, watch this hit. Up the field, down underneath, and whacked him. $250.
A draw play here to Tyrell Sutton, and he'll pound for a first down. So he took a hit on the last play, but he'll move the chains with a 10-yard run. J.C. Sherritt, the tackle.
Well, this is the true draw. I mean, we've seen draw plays run in 2nd and 3 and 4, but when you're 2nd and 10, you're playing for a pass rush move. You see the hole because of the stunt up front. The Edmonton Eskimos went with twists up front, and when you're twisting and you hit that twist at the right time on a running play, a draw play, it can get you those big yards, and that's what happened there.
9 carries, 79 so far for the newcomer. Trying to get to back-to-back 100-yard games, but he gets pushed back there. Big cheek Serezna finishes him off.
Well, that's the good news for BC Lions and their fans, is that Tyrell Sutton had a good first half. I mean, He's at 80 yards now after that last run, but he was at 72 yards in the first half. A lot of those drop plays. Brought a couple riding to sides for Travis Ule, and he another big game so far for Sutton.
Likely passing down here. Rainey in the backfield. And pressure coming. The draw play, and Rainey not going anywhere. Handed it off right into the defensive player, and Boateng and Sewell.
It just went to the well one too many times. I mean, that's, you know, it's easy to second guess calls that don't work, and that's not the objective here. It's just, if you're going to run the 2nd and 10 or 2nd and long draw play, you can only fool the defense so many times.
Ortiz Jackson bouncing around, trying to get outside, and he'll get dropped around the 35-yard line. The Eskimos have a 5-point lead as they get set for their first possession of the second half. Well, he had the huge game last Saturday, and he's following up with another big one here tonight. Brian Mitchell.
No question, he's close to another 100-yard game, 91 so far in this one against the BC Lions. Big block that was legal on that throw to Duke Williams. His teammates got a touchdown as well. Found another receiver in Edmonton.
Yeah, Duke Williams leads the league in receiving, but Mitchell's been the favorite target now for 5.5 games, and he just got leveled. TJ Lee makes the catch. Lee gets a chance to apply the free shot as Mitchell was exposed.
And it was Mitchell on the big block on Lee in the first half that knocked him out of the game for a few plays. So he gets a little revenge here.
Hung on for 4 yards.
Started to look at whether or not Mitchell could make it to 1,000 yards after that 190. I thought 347 is probably a stretch, but maybe not.
Goes the out, it's through the hands of Kenny Stafford, and it will take Edmonton off the field. 2 and out as Riley's fastball goes through the hands of the intended target.
Yeah, a little bit behind him, but should have had that. Kenny Stafford will tell you that defenses and the pressures and everything else the quarterback's dealing with, you get it in that radius, you got to bring it down. That would have moved the chains, but to punt it away.
Anthony Parker joins Rainey back. Parker had the big 79-yarder against his former team last week. And they sent 2 back because O'Neill's been kicking away. Rainey bobbled that. Flag comes down. Is that a no yards against Edmonton? We'll find out. 36-yard punt. And they're marching further up, so it will be a 5-yard penalty against Edmonton and a 45-yard start. That's the first penalty against the Eskimos tonight.
They have cleaned things up in that area for the most part over the last 5 or 6 games. They've moved up in the ratings here to about 8 or 7.
Last week, just 3 penalties, 40 yards, 7 times over 100 yards in penalties this season.
First half of the year, they were by far the worst team in the league.
Didn't throw on their first possession of the second half. Throwing here, and an open target is Brian Burnham, who gets away and all the way down to the Edmonton 10-yard line. A 55-yard strike, like the 55-yarder early in the game that was negated by penalty.
Double move by Brian Burnham. He's the wide receiver in the formation to the wide side of the field. He got trips out there. That's 3 receivers. Watch a little stutter step, and then away he goes. And he brings Forrest Hightower up and jumped that first move, got him behind him.
Matches his biggest reception of the year. Burnham with a touchdown here tonight. Now his 3rd catch for 71. First and goal from the 10 as the Lions try and take the lead. Handoff straight ahead, and Sutton plows down around the 3-yard line. Rolly Labala leading the way.
Sometimes you want to find contact and pound a tackler, and sometimes you got to get small. Watch Tyrell Sutton get small in the hole here. There's not much of one, so he's got to get skinny through here, and he does.
Marked it back at the 4-yard line, so a gain of 6. Well, he has flashed the credentials that made him the rushing champion back in 2015. He has shown how he did that in 6 quarters of football and a little bit more here for the BC Lions.
Lined up as a wideout on this formation. Travis Lule trying to see if he can get a man
Empty it out. Quick hitter, slant, touchdown. DeVere Posey has his first as a BC Lion.
That's why they do it. That's why offenses will take their tailback, take him out of the backfield. They want to see what the reaction is defensively. If a linebacker goes out to cover Tyrell Sutton, they know they've got a man situation, probably. So there's a high probability that they will have a man situation. Then you go to that slant, which is a great man route down there in the goal line. Posey's in the end zone.
Grey Cup MVP. Trying to help his new team confirm a reservation to the playoffs. They get the lead on the Posey catch. And Ty Long adds the convert. So it's been a seesaw affair. And now the Lions regain the lead. DeVere Posey in the end zone for the first time in orange and black. The biggest hit movies on TMN. Don't miss Gary Oldman in his Oscar-winning role as Winston Churchill in Darkest Hour. Premieres tomorrow, 9 Eastern on TMN, the movie network. DeVere Posey with the touchdown catch. Big reception by Brian Burnham to set it up, a 55-yarder. The Eskimo defense did not surrender a second-half point last week against Ottawa. But BC able to take the lead early, and we're one kick return touchdown away from giving out $1 million. Not on that return. Martese Jackson is contained just across the 30.
Let me show you again what happened here. Here's Tyrell Sutton, and look who's covering him. That's J.C. Sherritt. So now Travis Lule knows he can go to his matchup on the short side of the field in man-to-man with DeVere Posey. If he doesn't get J.C. Sherritt out there on Tyrell Sutton, then he goes to the wide side of the field where he outnumbers the zone defense. So he gets a pre-snap read with his tailback on a linebacker way outside, and this is a great man route. Quick slant inside on DeVere Posey.
C.J. Gable kind of bump it outside, slipped on the cut. And Claudel Lewis there to bring him down. Give Gable 4 on the carry. He's been relatively quiet here tonight. 4th carry for 8 yards. So 52 away from his first 1,000-yard season on his 31st birthday here tonight. Second and 6. Foster off the edge, got to Riley, got away, but they track him down, and it's Sean Lemon with the sack. His second against the Eskimos this year, and number 11 on the season.
Talked about the great defensive ends. Here's Otha Foster, and at the top here, who's going to be relentless from the backside, chasing down Mike Riley, is Sean Lemon. So the pressure gets him out of the pocket from Otha Foster. Lemon catches Riley from behind.
6-2 and out of the game for the Edmonton Eskimo offense.
Coming into this game, the BC Lions had registered 12 more sacks than all of last year. 3 games to go.
Big punt by O'Neill drives Rainey back inside the 35. And Corey Jones with a good downfield tackle after a 50-yard punt, but the big sack by Sean Lemon gets the ball back in the hands of the BC Lion offense.
Found a lower price on tires? We'll match it, guaranteed.
Shout out to my nephew, Braylon. Told him I give him a shout out. Shout out, Braylon.
And a shout out to the two veteran defensive ends, both with a sack in the game tonight. Odell with 10 on the year, and now Lemon up to 11. BC starts at their 41. Big to Sutton this time. Lule to the sidelines, and a catch made there by Corey Watson, who's not going anywhere. Money Hunter on the scene.
I mentioned the great defensive ends in this game. I mean, Alex Bazzi, off the top, we talked about his 3 sacks last 2 games. He's added 1 tonight on Travis Lule. We just saw Lemon and Odell, who both have a sack. Boateng has to get back in there and get 1. He's had some great plays in the run game and a couple of key stops, but looking for his 10th sack. There's some outstanding defensive ends in this game. I mean, those 4 are in the top 6 in the league.
2nd and 6. Pressure coming. Lule got it away, and a nice catch by Posey, and Demir Posey. Touchdown! 65 yards and 85 is suddenly a huge factor in the BC Lion offense.
Wondering when he was going to have that breakout game, and with the change in the secondary for Edmonton, could it be this one? We've seen Edmonton go with those zone blitzes where they're sending pressure, trying to play a zone behind it. That leaves big spaces because when you're sending pressure, you're taking guys out of those zone drops.
I'm unlocked. Hey, I'm blinking.
Couple of touchdown catches for Posey here in this 3rd quarter. And the Lions open up a 9-point lead. A game breaker in late November last year in Ottawa. And here in the 3rd quarter, he's been a game breaker tonight.
Watch the pressure coming. There's going to be 6 defensive players going after Travis Lule and zone behind it. Go ahead and run it, guys. Watch how now when they drop into their zone, stop it there. You see big holes in that zone because they've got 6 on the pass rush. So there's going to be holes in the secondary. It's just a matter of can Travis Lule get it out of there and get it to one of his receivers in that hole in time. A 65-yard touchdown throw and run. He's the 3 receiver right here, and Demir Posey knows all he has to do is find that big hole in the middle because they're sending 6 players up front.
Travis
playing
Lule,
zone behind it. Sorry, Chris.
His 125th career touchdown pass.
I'm out of here. He said, I'm out of here.
It's a great strategy because you saw Travis Lule in the first half. Mike Benavides called a similar play, and Adam Konar intercepted a throw. He jumped under it from a zone look in the blitz. This time, it's Travis Lule's turn.
Sees Jackson on the return. Spins away from 1 and then gets buried back at the 28. Let's go back to the sidelines. Here's Farhan.
Guys, a big game tonight so far for Eskimos receiver Bryant Mitchell, and he's become one of Mike Riley's most reliable targets, and reliable and Mitchell haven't always gone in the same sentence. He said he really used to struggle catching the ball, especially back in high school, where in his senior year he dropped 14 passes. When he got to junior college, a coach told him, you don't catch the ball with your hands, you catch it with your eyes. He said at that point the light went on for him, and it's really changed his practice habits ever ever since. Even in warm-up today, he was catching with a ball that had an X on one side and an O on the other. Stickers he put on. It's called a perfect catch. He wants to be able to read the letters as they come in, focusing that much with his eyes on the football. Ultimately, though, you can't catch what you don't get. It took a while for him to develop the trust of Riley and the coaching staff. After a game against Montreal where he got no targets, he went to Jason Moss and said, I really think I'm ready to help this team. Moss reconsidered his position. When Walker got hurt, he got a brand new opportunity, and he's completely made the most of it.
Well, the Eskimos will need another big play or two in this game after falling behind, giving up 2 third-quarter touchdowns, and now they take a time count violation. I don't think Mike Riley realized that play had been whistled in. The clock running here again, and the fans in an uproar. BC Place. And they just got it snapped in time, and Duke Williams with the catch is brought down at the 29-yard line. Well, Anthony Orange.
Brian Mitchell, Chris, taking advantage, as Farhan just mentioned, of his opportunity. You know, I mentioned the 347 coming into this game away from 1,000 yards in limited playing time really this year. And when Darrell Walker went down and he got a chance to step up and be a starter every down, he's made the most of it. That was 17 targets, 13 catches, 190 last week.
Since Walker went down, 41 catches, 598. Duke Williams, 37 catches, 449 yards. Second down here, and it's busted up. Nice sprawling play by Gary Peters, that former Edmonton Eskimo. And while the Eskimos secondary has been racked by injuries this year, there has not been a man game lost by the starting group of the BC Lions in the back end this season.
Well, pressure helps the back end, and because of the play of guys like Sean Lemon, Davon Coleman, and Odell Willis up front, the DBs for BC have been able to grow together, come together, play together, and that's what they're doing now. Gary Peters was kind of cast away by Edmonton, picked up by the BC Lions. He now has 9 knockdowns, which moves him up closer to his teammate in TJ Lee, who leads the league with 12 knockdowns.
Third consecutive 2-and-out for Edmonton. The momentum has swung in the home side's favor here in this third quarter. O'Neill kicking to Rainey, a 45-yard punt. Rainey has something on the return as he gets thrown forward into Edmonton territory. Lions in Saskatchewan next week. Their home finale will be against Calgary.
This is an important drive right here, Chris, for the Edmonton defense. I mean, they can't let another one slip away and
chance to really take a stranglehold. I was going to say it got BC Place loud here in the third quarter like it used to. Shovel pass inside to Tyrell Sutton.
The first time they've run this play here tonight. I mean, well executed play that this is not one that the Edmonton defense and J.C. Sherritt has seen all night, so surprised him a little bit, and then Tyrell Sutton did some heavy lifting at the end of it.
Remember, Travis Luley had 37 yards passing in the first half. Now up to 177. And off here to Reedy, and he got tripped up. That's a big tackle by the middle linebacker, J.C. Sherritt.
Yeah, they had to have it. Gets him in second and long now, and chance to maybe get off the field. Because at this point, it would be a long field goal attempt if the Lions don't gain another inch. And as I mentioned, an important stop. If they start to if they can put another major BC on the board, starts to get away from the Edmonton Eskimos. This is a big play right here for the Edmonton defense.
Second and 10. Tang in pursuit. Luley running away. He hits the deck at the first down stick. The Lions move the chains on the 11-yard run. Not going to see that very often, but he did it once last week for a clutch first down.
In key situations, right? I mean, Situational awareness is so important for quarterbacks. Knowing when they've got to go out and get that first down, the really crucial points in the game, and when to take off and run if they have to, or make that accurate throw when they have to. It sounds simple, but young quarterbacks sometimes just run the play.
And when to hit the deck when you have to, especially the way he has been banged up. Not going to take a shot. Got Posey again. Touchdown. It's 3 straight for DeVere Posey. Last 3 catches, all touchdowns for DeVere Posey. Welcome to Vancouver.
They moved him inside. Travis Lulay takes a look just to try and pull some coverage if he can, but watch the accuracy on the throw. I mean, he drops it right in the bucket to 85. Well, the question I had coming in was, when was DeVere Posey going to have a big game? Answer.
Took tonight. 6 games. His max coming in was a 50-yard game. He had 4 for 44 last week. He has exploded here. 5 catches, 3 touchdowns, 113 yards. And the Lions have taken a 16-point lead here in the 3rd quarter.
Take a look at Posey using his speed, but the accuracy on the throw from Travis Lulay, outstanding. Drops it right in there for Posey so he doesn't have to break stride. The hat trick. Here's the first one, quick slant. Down in the red zone. Caught Edmonton in the zone blitz, found the hole. Touchdown number 2. Here's number 3, inside move on Money Hunter, and tried to play man in that place.
Seen a lot of multi-touchdown catching performances. I'm not sure I remember the last time a receiver got 3 in less than a quarter. Well, Travis Lulay told Faran Lalji that there were some adjustments that had to be made. They made them.
Now the adjustments to be made are on the opposite sideline. And Edmonton defense.
How y'all do down there?
Ortiz Jackson trying to ignite Edmonton. He got tripped up there. Hank Hamlin got him at the shoe tops, and well, you could argue must win for either team tonight. And now Jason Moss's crew, who talked about this being a must-win situation, are down by 16, and they need to get something going on offense and plug up the leaks on defense.
Well, you're right. I mean, the Grey Cup game this year is in Edmonton. Edmonton needs to win this game to maintain some control in their playoff fate. If not, they're going to have to get some help. Never want to be in that position. Mike Riley knew how important it is.
Gable gets pushed back, being tackled. McLennan hanging on. And this is a rubber match of this series, so with the win would be the tie break between these 2 teams. And 4 of the 5 teams in the West make it. And again, it's an immediate entry into the postseason for BC with a win here tonight.
The Eskimos finished with Winnipeg.
Final play of the 3rd quarter has been dominated by the Lions, and the noise here will amplify that. Riley gets away and launches for Bahar. Great catch. Nate Bahar comes up with that football in BC territory. Well, that's maybe a kickstart back. That's the first down for the Eskimos in the 2nd half. Beautiful catch for the former Carlton Raven, who just reels it in. Biggest 3rd quarter of the season for the BC Lions. And Travis Lulay was on fire and So was DeVere Posey.
Yeah, DeVere Posey already over 100 yards, so we'll see what his total ends up. This is a crucial quarter coming up for the Edmonton Eskimos. They want to maintain control. I will say for Edmonton fans that 6 out of their 8 wins, they had to come from behind at some point in the game. So this is an unfamiliar territory.
Lions came back from a couple of touchdowns down in the final 5 minutes in the last meeting. The Eskimos have to follow that script. And while we've got the opportunity, congratulations to our great buddy, Brian Hall, who was the voice of the Eskimos from 1965 to 2009. Just celebrated his 65th anniversary of broadcasting. Nobody thinks anybody else has been longer on the air in Canada than Halsey. They had Brian Hall Day this week. I thought every day in Edmonton was Brian Hall Day, but congratulations, Halsey, as your story gets even more remarkable. But Halsey's not happy about the way things have turned here. The #1 Eskimo fan doesn't like the way the second half is going.
Yeah, congratulations to Halsey. He's a true pro and one of the best. And take a look at this sack, yet another for the BC Lions. They've won 5 of their last 6, trying to make it 6 of 7. And in those 5 wins, they've registered 21 sacks. They're going to give this one to Davon Coleman.
So Coleman up to 8. Was 7th in the league in sacks coming in. Riley sets up. Does get this away. Wants to. Almost a circus catch, but it falls incomplete. TJ Lee and Anthony Orange thought each of them had a shot at the football.
You know, you hear quarterbacks talk about that they trust their receiver, one of their receivers, and for Mike Riley this year, it's been Duke Williams on the deep ball and the 50-50 ball. You got to trust them. Sometimes it's not just that they'll make the catch, because in those contested catches, you don't always make them. Duke Williams makes them more time than not, but he does this if he can't make the catch. That was an interception. That was the safety help. It was TJ Lee over the top, and if Duke Williams doesn't climb the ladder there and knock it down, that's a pick going the other way. Who knows where that ends up for TJ Lee.
Extended deliberation there for Jason Moss. Is he going to challenge that play? Looked like he was trying to decide whether or not to leave the offense on the field or send the punt team, but now it looks like maybe a challenge.
Which end?
Edmonton is challenging that there was defensive pass interference on the play. We'll review the play.
Going to use the challenge to try and keep the Eskimos on the field and get them deep into BC territory. Is that hand on the back enough? We'll find out when we come back. NFL on TSN continues Sunday, a special 2018 NFL London Games matchup between the Titans and Chargers. Action gets underway at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 in the morning Pacific, across CTV Network. Should have said Glenn Suter's Tennessee Titans, but sorry about that. So let's find out about the challenge from Jason Moss.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. Edmonton will be charged their first timeout.
Yeah, I guess you classify this one as sort of a desperate challenge, but I'm not sure. It's not always the head coach, by the way. Sometimes they'll have their spotters upstairs. They'll look at the replay and then communicate down to the sideline to Jason Moss and say, hey, you should try and challenge here. But if they saw what we all saw, that wasn't going to happen.
Moss now 4 for 8 on challenges this year.
Need that timeout too.
Neal kicks to the corner. Reedy going to play that. And Reedy going to bring it out. Not sure it was the right decision, but a nice recovery out to the 20-yard line.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Not like that. No, you let that one go. But when I guess when you're in a groove, you're in a groove and you feel confident. But you probably get the instructions from the sideline that, hey, listen, inside the 10 with the lead, you're going to give up the single and get the field position.
I guess the good news for the Lions is that he is regaining his confidence. Jarius Jackson's called all the right plays in the second half. Travis 6 for 6 and 3 touchdowns in the second half. Might have been a bust there. I'm not sure he wants to run up the middle like that, but he'll take the results. And a first down.
Yeah, it was.
By the way, Lule with 4 touchdown passes in the game, matching a career best.
Yeah, this is not supposed to be a Travis Lule run. This is supposed to be a Tyrell Sutton run, and Sutton became the lead blocker. Pretty good production on a broken play.
4th time Travis Lule's had 4 touchdown passes. Last one was 6 years ago. I think he'll be carrying the ball up the middle much more tonight. J.C. Sherritt puts a stop to that play. And it will be 2nd and 7.
Well, plays like that is what the Edmonton Eskimos need. They need J.C. Sherritt to lead by example and inspire the rest of the group on defense to make that play, because they're running out of opportunities.
5th tackle for Sherritt, 91 on the year, 5th in the league in that department.
You don't get too many 2nd and longs. This is a chance.
Lions trying to extend the drive, take time off the clock, or maybe just take a shot. Brian Burnham can make the one-handed grab. Mercy Maston there, and the flag comes down.
Yeah, I think they're going to call Mercy Maston a pass interference here.
Pass interference. Edmonton number 29. Point of foul. Automatic. First down.
I was going to say Edmonton only went with 4-man pressure here, probably scared out of that blitz zone look. See, he holds the arm down from Brian Burnham, and he puts his hand up right away. The hand fighting until he grabbed it was fine, and then he hung on too long.
And that is why Burnham had to try and make the one-handed play.
Exactly.
No, it's a 35-yard penalty. Lions in an area where they can make it a 3-score lead. Dumped it off. Sutton. Tyrell Sutton's got another first down. And running over people inside the 20, but there is a flag in the Lions' backfield. And this one is coming back.
BC number 63. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Jovan Olafioye called for the hold.
Take a look. I think Armando Sewell ends up on the matchup. Well, it's Boateng. No, it is Boateng. No question about that.
Yep.
Arm around the neck and head area of Kwaku Boateng, and holding call takes the big run off the board.
6-time All-Canadian Football League tackle. Flag that time, and it's back to the Edmonton 52. And the drop play, Boateng puts an end to that. They've seen that play a couple of times tonight, and Rainey has dropped quickly.
But you know what? You can bet though, Chris, that Boateng's down here. You can bet that Travis Lule made a mental note again. That's a couple of times that Boateng has made that play. Now, if he pulls it, he gets the edge.
I guess the question is, how much do you want Travis Lule running with this kind of lead? But
He doesn't have to run once he gets the edge. He can get outside and throw it.
Yep. 2nd and 24. Complete to Watson. Short yardage, and Watson is stacked up at the 50-yard line, so they're not going to be in field goal range. The Lions punt team will have to come on.
Kwaku Boateng just turned it up a notch. He just realized the importance of the situation. Watch this bull rush from Boateng right here. He's on Olafioye again, and he's just driving him with one arm, swats down Travis Lule. He gets it out there, but well short of the first down. That's back-to-back big plays by 93. And they needed it.
Punt team does come out, but I was rethinking it. Would you try Ty Long from 56? 57.
Got bigger guys covering that too.
Yeah.
If you miss it, I like this
Play
call
the field
right
position
here.
game.
Yep. Make it a long field for Mike Riley.
Jackson going to let that bounce. Does reach the end zone. It's a useful point, though, isn't it? That's 17 points, 3 possessions. Mike Riley has a lot of work to do. Still has time, but they've got to make something happen coming right up.
Hello, my name is Damien McCracken, a 47 captain Vancouver, and I am grateful to our veterans, the brave people who put themselves through the harshest of circumstances for the sake of our country.
I'll tell you the importance of our military in a CTV news item today, Chris. CTV news item today, the Defense Department scrambled some Canadian CF-18 fighters in Romania because they intercepted a Russian military aircraft that was approaching NATO airspace. This stuff is still happening. This happened today out at the Black Sea, and the CF-18s, Canadian military and Air Force, guided that Russian aircraft out of NATO space. We need them and we thank them for what they do.
First down get by Brian Mitchell, and now a handoff inside that doesn't go very far. BC Lions have shut down the run game, and in the second half, Mike Riley, 4 for 7 now for 48 yards.
Yeah, I'm not sure Jason Moss tried to establish the run game. I mean, C.J. Gable just with 5 carries. I remember how many he had in the first half, but only a couple.
Second and 7, trying to stay on the field. Wide side, it goes to Duke Williams, and look at him just clear a Lion out of the way to get an important Edmonton first down. Duke, 6'3", 225, uses the size to his advantage for a 17-yard gain.
Duke Williams, if you've heard him in any of our halftime interviews or pregame interviews or pregame features or any of it, he's a gamer. I mean, he will not give up. He's not going to lay down. He's going to battle to the final whistle.
He just told Winston Rose to get off his lawn. They need points on every possession now. They have 3 or 4 possessions left. Riley steps up through the traffic. He'll take a hit down inside the 35-yard line.
Now the pressure rests on Tommy Draheim and Colin Kelly. They have to try and contain 2 rush ends and Sean Lemon and Odell Willis. They know the situation as well as the Edmonton offense. They've got to push the ball, they've got to throw the ball, they've got to get Mike Riley back in that pocket, and that's where those guys are going to tee off and throw their best pass rush moves at those tackles.
Second and 4, they'll be playing 3-down football here. Pressure coming from Otha Foster, and the ball is recovered by Sean Lemon. It's a takeaway as Otha Foster, the former Edmonton Eskimo, who said hitting Mike is one of my favorite things to do, just hit him at a critical time.
Backside pressure, as I mentioned. Everyone knows what Edmonton has to do now, and they're going to send backside pressure. That includes Mark Washington, the defensive coordinator for the Lions. There he is, nice move. It's outside and around, knocks it up. I'm not sure it'll be registered as an interception or a fumble recovery. That touched the ground.
And was it a pass? No, it'll be a fumble recovery for Sean Lemon. We do know it's BC Lion football when we come back.
Found a lower price on tires? We'll match it, guaranteed.
Turnovers now even at 2 apiece after the fumble by Riley. And Sean Lemon with the recovery. Otha Foster forcing the fumble.
Well, we had to make sure that the arm wasn't going forward because it didn't look like Sean Lemon made the catch, but it doesn't matter on a fumble.
Foster with a strip sack recovery against Mike Riley in the last meeting here at BC Place.
But the ruling on the field and the ruling from all turnovers, of course, reviewed, and the ruling from Command Center was that the arm wasn't going forward for Mike Riley. Fumble and recovered by Lemon.
Really a stunning second half in that Edmonton outplayed the BC Lions in the first half, had the lead, but it's all unraveled here in the second half and that third quarter.
Well, some real key adjustments, Chris, when you think of DeVere Posey's involvement on that zone blitz look that Edmonton was playing well in the first half, created a turnover off it.
Lule, threw that one, gave it right back. Aaron Grimes down the sidelines. What a break for the Eskimos, and they're back in the football game. Aaron Grimes picked 6, and suddenly all is not lost for the visitors.
Just like that, no lead is safe, and I'm not sure what happened with Travis Lule's receiver, or was it Lule throwing to a spot expecting his guy to be there, but Ricky Collins ran a go route and Travis Lule threw an out route.
Third interception of the year for Aaron Grimes. 57-yard touchdown return, 6th interception thrown by Travis Lule.
I told him stop making me the first read. They're gonna pay for it.
Hey, do it again. Let's go, baby. Do it again, please. Do it again.
Injured BC Lion on the play, but that's stunning stuff. Chris Rainey is down. Somebody must have missed an assignment.
Yeah, let me take a look here, because it looks like Travis Lule was reading Collins out here, and watch how he runs a double move and goes deep. But it looks like to me Lule thought, because of his defense, stop it there, guys. See, you got a deep zone drop here and an underneath drop by Aaron Grimes. So he expected Ricky Collins to sit there and not carry on with his double move, which he does, and then Travis Lule throws it to that flat. Throws it to the out route.
Stranger things have happened in the Canadian Football League. And suddenly the Eskimos have some life when it looked like all was lost.
You see Grimes look behind him like, where's the receiver? I don't see.
39-29, 10-point game. So a touchdown and a field goal. And still 5 minutes left. It just got a little more uncomfortable on that BC sideline.
Yeah, it did, and you saw Travis Lule walking up and down the sideline, just telling everyone to calm down. This is where the veterans, look at him. He's got that, don't worry, it's all under control smile on his face. He's just saying, hey, we get the ball back again. We need 4 or 5 first downs here. We'll grind down the clock. Still got a good lead, a 2-possession lead. And that's the job of the leader to do when something bad happens.
Never make them see you sweat.
Exactly.
They won't get Chris Rainey on this kick return. He will have to sit for 3 plays.
I'm not so sure they won't just put the hands team out there just in case anyway. I mean, I know
well,
that
if you're Jason Moss,
I wouldn't do it. No,
absolutely
not. But if I'm Moss, I'm not doing it. But I think I'd protect myself against it just in case if I'm the Lions. Doesn't look like they've done that, though. They've got their regular kick return team. It's real early, but that just in case scenario, although they do have Corey Watson right at the ball.
Sutton and Anthony Parker are back.
That's a receiver right there. Looking for that forward squib if they try it.
He kicks it away, and it will be Parker from his 11. And that big punt return last week brings this one back to the 30. They're trying to rip it out of there, but good ball security by Anthony Parker, and Travis Lulay will go back to work and try and make sure that doesn't happen again.
Edmonton looking for that 2 and out. Travis Lulay wants 2-3 first downs and make that last throw go away.
Here in the second half, now 7 for 8, 179 and 3 touchdowns. So every pass he's thrown in the second half has been caught. The last one by Aaron Grimes. Tyrell Sutton time, but the Eskimos sitting on that.
Now, throughout this game, Jarius Jackson, the offensive coordinator for BC, has gone with a lot of draw plays. He's tried to run the draw to Sutton, sometimes to Chris Rainey. A couple times it's worked. A couple times Mike Benavides' group has cut it off. It's been Kwaku Boateng that's been pretty good at stopping it.
Lions are 8 for 17 on second down conversions. Pocket collapsing. Lulay takes off. He's a little point guard toss to Corey Watson, who couldn't hang on. And Edmonton gets the ball right back.
Momentum has switched teams a couple of times in this one. It was all Edmonton early in the first quarter. Late in that first quarter, after a Chris Rainey kick return for a touchdown, the Lions grabbed it. They took the lead. Now it's Edmonton grabbing it with under 5 minutes to go. Under 4 minutes to go now.
Good defensive play by Chris Edwards. Game earlier this year, not too long ago when Hamilton was here, we had 3 touchdowns in the final 3 minutes of regulation time and went to overtime. So lots can happen here yet.
Edmonton has 11 up, just one returner. They've been close on a couple of these kicks as well to get into.
Oli Wambala is the veteran protector back there. And Long is able to launch one. Ortiz Jackson at his 29-yard line. 50-yard kick, and Guzlak Messam with the first contact on the 10-yard return. But Mike Riley with a little glimmer of hope now after the interception by his old sidekick.
Well, who's he going to lean on in this drive? A crucial drive for the Edmonton Eskimos in their season. Conventional wisdom this year would say Duke Williams, but with the way Bryant Mitchell's been playing in the last 2 games, maybe he's looking number 80's way.
Bryant Mitchell has his third 100-yard game of the season, 6 catches, 110 and a touchdown. The Duke has 4 for 80. 4-man rush. Pocket collapsing. Riley dancing. He gets away. Otha Foster in pursuit, and he'll force him out at the BC bench. 4 yards for Riley. We hit the 3-minute warning. In for what we might not have anticipated as a finish here at BC Place. Time now for the Shaw connection of the game. Shaw, super fan and proud sponsor of the CFL.
Well, the connection quarterback to receiver of the game has been Lulay to Posey. 3 touchdown passes. That was the second of the 3 65-yard.
Second down and 6 here. Riley dances in the pocket over the middle. That'll be pass interference. Bola combo on the back of Bryant Mitchell well before the ball arrived.
No pass interference. BC number 20. Point of foul. Automatic. First down.
20 the culprit, and it's a 20-yard pickup for the Eskimos.
Yeah, there's no question here. The early contact, and it was right through Bryant Mitchell. Look at that. the receiver before the ball arrives. That was an easy one to call.
No first down into Lion territory at the BC 45. Fresh set of downs for Riley. Take to Gable, now the shovel to Gable, and CJ Gable to around the 38 has 7. Herdman filling in for the injured Micah Awe, who was replacing the injured Solomon Elamimian. And middle linebacker with the tackle. Esku 8 for 19 on second downs. 2nd and 4. Riley wide side of the field, and Bahar's got it and rolls out of bounds with an Edmonton first down.
A couple big catches in this one tonight for Bahar after his early fumble. He has bounced back in a big way. None bigger than that one right there to keep the drive alive. Although if they don't get it there, they can kick the field goal.
They're going to kick the field goal right now.
They're going to take it down.
Interesting. Well, you need 2 scores. A little surprised they do it with a first down.
One of them has to be a major.
Yeah. I get it when it's 2nd and long or 3rd and long, but they're going to do it right now.
Timeout, BC.
BC
And
still,
was that part of the intent maybe to make BC burn a timeout?
possibly, but BC had their defense still on the field, so. Want to make sure they had the right group out there.
Yeah, this is a debatable call by Jason Moss. You understand that they need to, but you often see this when a team is faced with 2nd and 15 or 3rd and 3 or more.
Yeah, but that your first down in plus territory in the 30 inside right. The 35. You need a major in one of the series. Why not right now? I mean, take a shot at the major now, and then you need a field goal to try and tie it.
Because the gamble is you might not get the ball back.
Exactly, and if you missed on that last throw to Bahar, then you kick the field goal. I get that.
Now the argument is, and job 1 is for Sean White to hit it, and he does, so it's a 7-point game. I guess the counter argument is you drive down, you might use up all the clock and never get it back anyway. So he's playing it this way. Let's see how it unfolds.
I mean, clearly the exact amount of time on the clock is what prompted the decision from Jason Moss. We'll see how it turns out. Now they'll load up the onside kick here.
The onside kick right here. Of course, last year, the West Final was a controversial decision.
Yes, you're
right. Jason Moss kicked a field goal and hoped to get the ball back and never did against the Calgary Stampeders.
Again, we'll see how it unfolds. But even if they win the onside kick jump ball here, they're looking at,
that's the other question,
70, 65 yards if they win it.
You've got 1:51. Do you kick it deep, or do you try the short kick and run the risk of giving BC great field position? So you got a lot of decisions to make here.
Well, with 1:51, I think you're going to kick it deep.
Now they're going to do that. And the only man back is Anthony Parker. And Anthony Parker brings it back to the 35. So there you see the time on the clock. And will Edmonton get the ball back?
Well, but again, I get it on the deep kick here, but even if they get the ball back in a quick 2 and out here from their defense, BC punts it. There's not a long return. Mike Riley needs a major in the entire 3/4 of the field to drive, and he was on the 33-yard line.
Great shot there, Chris Edwards trying to punch that ball out, but the veteran Parker maintained possession. Tyrell Sutton They're waiting on him. Alex Bazzi, the tackle. No gain. It'll be 2nd and 10. Do the Lions risk putting it in the air?
No, I don't think so. You know, I mean, hey, you never know. You want to be aggressive and play to go out and win. I'm giving this to Tyrell Sutton, and if he can get it, if you're from the Lions' perspective, if he can get it, great. If not, you kick it.
They're going to have the ball back with about a minute to go, just under, unless BC is able to capitalize here on 2nd and 10.
Like they were
Flag
offside.
down. That one might be up for grabs. Ricky Collins with the catch at the 40-yard line. Dropped there, but there is a flag where the Eskimos offside.
Looked like they may have been. I don't know if they were drawn.
Offside. Edmonton number 93. A penalty is declined. First down.
Well, the penalty doesn't matter. Ricky Collins with a huge play, a 35-yard catch. Gutsy call by the Lions. And the first catch of the game for Ricky Collins.
You see the twist up front here, and that's Boateng in the neutral zone.
So essentially it was a free play, and the Lions made the most of it. I thought that one was up for grabs when it left his hand, but Collins adjusting perfectly to the football.
And by his reaction, did Travis Lule know it was a free play? I'm not sure he was thinking that when he let that go. He was pushing it deep.
Yep. Sutton again. This time he's got a little something beyond the line of scrimmage. Neil King, the safety, with the tackle. Mike Riley may not get back on the field.
Edmonton.
For the Eskimos, it'll be a long bye and one more game at home against Winnipeg.
Well, and all the discussion, you know, a lot of plays make up a game one way or another. All the discussion will be on that final decision. You're on the 33-yard line. At the very least, you take 2 shots for the major 10 to 15 seconds. If you don't get it, then you kick a field goal. But it'll be debated.
BC 4 yards away from really nailing this down. Although the decision desk gets a little gun shy of the way things unfold. Gonna give it to Sutton, right side. Not gonna get there. So 3rd down, you kick a field goal here if you're BC. They've had 1 block this year. Field goal, let's go from the head coach.
I think you kick a field goal.
Let's get it done.
Tough to block field goals. I mean, it happens, but it's tough to block them. If the center, the holder, and the kicker are together, it happens in less than 2 seconds.
And Wally Buono saw June Jones just kick for a single and allow his team to come back in the late stages for a game-tying touchdown against Hamilton, that overtime game. So he's going to go for the 3 and put this one out of reach. 39 yards out with Martese Jackson waiting if he misses. It is up. It is good. And the Lions lead by 10 and have nailed it down.
Game, set, match. BC Lions are in the playoffs.
3-6 halfway through the season. And the BC Lions have responded. 6 wins in 7. 7-1 on home turf. Not sure if they'll be the crossover team yet, or how far they can climb up. And again, it was this game for them to win, to be in, and they'll be 9-7.
Finish the season, the Lions do, with Saskatchewan and then at home to Calgary.
Edmonton needs the Bombers to lose against Calgary and then beat them in the final game of the year to have any chance in the postseason. So the host team in host city in the 2018 Grey Cup is on the ropes. And we're not sure if Calgary will be home and cooled out before
possible
they have to play
yeah.
Winnipeg. And Calgary will finish against BC. Line drive. Oh, through the hands of one. And Sam Jaguar will pick it up. Clock ticking down as Jaguar is contained around the 30. So 5 seconds remaining. Not enough time for Mike Riley with a 10-point deficit as Armando Sewell looks skyward. This one got away from him. In the third quarter, they led by 5 at the half. The BC Lions with 21 third quarter points, their biggest quarter offensively of the year. Travis Lulay just made it interesting in the last 5 minutes.
Well, he did, and he got a connection with DeVere Posey. Now DeVere Posey and Brian Burnham. It's a 1-2 combination for the BC Lions. Tyrell Sutton running the football.
So here's Kenny Stafford. Kenny Stafford boots it downfield, trying to onside it here. Brian Burnham back there defensively. Sure hands, brings it out, takes a knee, and this one is in the books. And the BC Lions are headed to the postseason with a 42-32 victory here against the Edmonton Eskimos. 3-6 at the turn, 9-7 now, and headed to the playoffs. Time for the Nissan Titan Player of the Game, brought to you by the Nissan Titan, the official vehicle of the CFL.
Well, we had a question coming into this game. When was DeVere Posey, the guy who had over 170 yards in the Grey Cup for Toronto last year, when was he going to have a breakout game as a BC Lion? Tonight was the night. Targeted 7 times, 5 catches, 113, and the hat trick in touchdowns.
Grey Cup MVP, and in a playoff style game, the player of the game, the MVP, and this one is going to hurt for a while for the green and gold. Looking forward to tomorrow's doubleheader, Alouettes and Argonauts, and then a huge one for the Rough Riders and the Stampeders from McMahon Stadium. Again, a big third quarter launches BC to the playoffs. SportsCenter coming up next.